Let's talk about basic safety and best practices for tool use here in the shop. As I said before, don't ever use any tool or equipment without first going through orientation and having a little bit of training. And especially if it's a major piece of equipment like the table saw or the lathe, do not use that until you've worked with me and I've supervised you once or twice and I know that you know what you're doing. This is to keep you from getting hurt and also to keep any of the equipment from getting broken or damaged. If you're using any kind of hand tools, chisels, saws, things like that, make sure that you do not cut in the direction of your body. You don't want to cut yourself. If something slips or flies out of your hand, you can get injured. Also be aware of the people around you. Do not chisel or cut in the direction of someone else. Again, if something slips out of your hand, that person standing nearby could get injured. Just be very aware when you're using tools of what might happen and think about how you can keep from getting hurt or hurting someone else nearby. Make sure that all safety guides and guards are in place on all of the tools and that they are operating appropriately before you use a tool. Never bypass any safety guides here in the shop. If you're unsure as to how those work or you forget, please come and ask me. It's my job and I would love to help you. Make sure that you know where the on-off switch is for any tool that you're using. Know how to start it and stop it. Do not ever start a tool for another person. If you need to show them how to start and stop it, go ahead and show them, but let them start it up themselves before they start using it. And never walk away from a machine while it's running. This is especially tempting when you're using the lathe or a power sander. You can stop and step back to look at what you're doing, but don't walk away from the tool without first turning it off. Before using any power saw, either handheld or mounted, consider the clearance of your materials. Do you have enough room to put the board into the saw and to get it on the other side? If you need to, set up rollers to catch the board as it comes out the other side or even to guide it in. You may also need to set up feather boards or combs on the top of the saw to keep things in place. Make sure that you have your push stick at the ready and in a reachable location when you start. Make sure that the top of all tools are clear of any debris. Do not ever work on a tool, use a tool like the table saw or even the drill press if there's something other than what you're working with sitting on the table of the tool. Make sure that it is completely clear. It's very unsafe to leave things on the top of the tool. Be aware of what's around you when you're using power tools, especially in the metal shop. Notice where your sparks are flying. If you need to set up one of the walls or shields or turn the way that you're working and turn your body so that the sparks fly in a safe location, make sure that you do that. This is for the benefit of others and also so that we don't start a fire. Never reach across the path of a blade to get your cutoff. Make sure that you wait until the blade of the saw comes to a complete stop. This is especially difficult when working with the bandsaw because the flywheel in that saw will spin for almost a minute after you've turned off the saw. Never use a broken tool in the shop, even a bit or a broken blade. Make sure that you report all damaged tools to me, and that way I can fix them. Don't try to fix them yourself. And you're not in trouble. Things break. If something breaks, let me know. It's my job to fix it. Don't attempt to try and fix it yourself. Don't try to change a blade or remove a regulator from a gas bottle or relocate any large tool. Let me help you with that. Drill bits are a different story. I think everybody can change their own drill bits. But again, if you have a question about that, please come and talk to me and I will help you. If you feel unsafe in any way when you're in this shop, please come and talk to me. It is my job to make sure that you feel safe. I don't care if I've told you how to do something 10 times. I will tell you 10 more times until you feel safe. Please do not use any of the tools in an improper way. If you don't know what a tool is for, you probably shouldn't be using it. Again, come and ask me. And remember, no tools can be removed from the shop. Let's talk about ventilation here in the shop. Anytime that you're doing any sort of metal work, if you are sanding, if you are using any kind of solvents or paints, if you're grinding metal or sandblasting, be sure to open a window and turn on the vent fans. If you're sending particulates into the air, such as sanding or grinding or polishing, wear a dust mask. Make sure that you also have proper eye protection. Wear a respirator if you're doing something that involves solvents, epoxy, PVC, or any other kind of chemicals, or if you're doing something that is throwing very fine particulates into the air. And we can talk about that before you start to do it. When in doubt, please consult the hazardous materials binder that is located here in the upper shop area on the bookcase where you would keep your water bottles and things like that. Let's talk about cleanup and storage here in the shop. Always utilize the vacuum system when operating any of the power tools. Check that the gates of the unused tools are closed and that the gate of the tool you're about to use is open. Always clean up your mess when you finish working for the day, or if excessive materials or debris are accumulating on the table or floor around you. This is particularly a concern when you're working with the lathe. Do not create a slipping hazard. If you need to, stop and sweep up a little bit as you go. When you're done for the day, or you plan to take a break, sweep off the table where you're working and the floor around you. Any unused materials can go back on the storage shelf or back into material storage in the lower shop. Unplug any portable hand tools when not in use, even if you're just taking a break. When you're finished for the day, put all tools, gloves, goggles, and safety equipment back where you found them. Wrap cords around portable power tools and tuck the plug in so that the cord does not unravel. If you are unsure where tools belong, please ask myself or a student assistant for help. Wind up any extension cords or air hoses or welding cables when you're finished using those tools. Follow the directions posted for powering down welders, air compressors, the plasma cutter, and for bleeding all of the lines. Lastly, if you're enrolled in a course that meets in the shop, you will receive a storage space. Label your space and make sure that you label all materials. When the course concludes, clean off your storage shelf and remove any of the work from the shop, or risk it being discarded. If you are not enrolled in a course but need storage space, talk to me and I'll see what I can do.